I gotta say this. I'm not like every other podcaster here. I don't mind when I screw up and actually explain why I did it. Because I just did this earlier. I was already starting up to explain what was going on in the show and open with, NXT. And I talked about on this green earth, we had to talk about what's going on because we got to talk about what we saw. And I also said, hey, what I'm about to say, many of you are not going to like. And you're going to say, and I said to myself, I know someone's going to say, why are you watching wrestling then? Why are you watching TV? I said, well, it's because I love wrestling and I was right. I was right. So, as I'm about to start, I'm going like, well, the opening of the show, and I'm going like, wait a minute, these notes are not my notes. I thought these were the notes. They weren't. They were for All In, and I've forgotten that when I do my setup, I disassemble it. This is for anyone who's considering what they're going to do like me, who has a very small area, who has a very bad thing here that sucks. I keep forgetting to actually fix it. A lot of times you don't have enough room to just leave your setup. You have to break it down and put it away to make sure you don't damage it. In my apartment, it's small. I have to disassemble my equipment and put it away. So when I disassemble my equipment, including my tripod so I can film but also put my notes on, I disassemble that as well. And when I fully assemble it, I put my notes on the tripod. But this time I forgot. And as I'm going through my monologue, I can't believe I'm doing a monologue. I look at the notes and they're not the notes. And I'm going like, oh shit, I just went through all that. This is what you go through as a podcaster if you're in a limited space with limited equipment and actually being a little stupid. But let's open with this show. Let me give it to you like this. This is a good show. A good go-home show for No Mercy. And I will be doing Emergence unless there's a problem. I don't believe there will be a problem with doing Emergence, a problem doing Bash in Berlin, and to do a No Mercy back to back to back. If I don't have no problems, you'll be watching all three of them. You will. But if there is, I hope you understand that something happened. I apologize ahead of time. But you'll see it all. But this was fine going into No Mercy. But there's something here that happened that would happen exactly as I thought it would happen. And in the end, we are still back to where we were before, what I keep saying over and over again, which I'll get to the end of this review. Let's open with, well, what do we got here? We got Metaphors, Lash Legend, and Miss Jackson versus now Fatal Influence, the former member, JC James, of Toxic Attraction. I had to go look it up. It had been so much been going on for the last 2 years. I forgot the name that JC James, Gigi Dolan, and Miss Rose, Miss Rand, who's not even wrestling. She's still remembered as a wrestler. Miss Mandy Rose is still considered a wrestler, but she's not doing it. She just that. And I've forgotten the name of their faction. I had to go and look it up. But now they're called Fatal Influence. Do I believe it sounds as great as Toxic Attraction? Nope. Fatal Influence does not feel catchy like Toxic Attraction did. It just didn't. And now that you have a JC James and Fallon Henley as co-leaders of it, because pretty much that's the way they're going, since both of them have known each other for so long and they're touting that they've known each other 9 years. But even though they were against one another, they're now together again. And now a Jasmine Nix is the one who they're teaching. I'm like, it just doesn't roll off the tongue. And a major problem I'm going to have is one of them is going to have to be leader. And easy that sooner or later, JC James is not going to want to let Fallon be leader. She's going to want to be leader all the time. So eventually we will see a problem with Fatal Influence. But here's something that happened during that match. When you look at Miss Jackson, I'm not against her. She's beautiful. She can talk. But the problem for me was that we rarely saw her wrestle. And now that you saw her wrestle with now Fatal Attraction, it shows how little work she's been doing constantly in the ring. Understand, you can still jump in the ring, do the ropes in the Performance Center, and practice with people. But when you're actually on the clock and in front of a camera, I'm sorry. There's a different level you got to reach. And when you look at Miss Jackson, who's beautiful, she's intelligent, she can talk, taken away from always having a lolly in her mouth, she looked bad. I'm sorry. At one point, when she jumped off the top turn rope to nail Fallon Henley while she was in Lash Legend's arms, she landed on her feet and lost her balance and fell back on her ass. Usually what wrestlers would do in that type of situation when they're trying to clothesline somebody, when they got somebody on their shoulders, they don't land square and then just fall back. They try to roll into it. She barely did that. I don't know if she's forgotten most of what she did or she wasn't trained in that, but you could tell the way she wrestled was like almost still amateurish. Unless she was injured and she just can't get back into it correctly, which I won't knock her for it if she's injured still. But why would she be wrestling if she was really injured? I mean, you can be hurt and you can still wrestle. But the way she looked sloppy as hell. I'm sorry, it looked that bad. I'm sorry. But that's just me. You guys can tell me below. In the end, what do we get? Phalo Influence wins. I just don't like the name. I can understand why they chose it. They can't do Toxic Attraction because people will start chanting Mandy Rose. They don't want that. That's the reason why they did it. But still. Petrovic versus Izzy Dane. Due to the fact of what happened before the gauntlet a couple of weeks ago, what do we get? Izzy Dane decides to take out Petrovic in hopes of taking Carmen's place, which she did not. Now we get this match. But here's the thing. Did I want to see this match between Carmen and Izzy? No. It didn't really feel developed enough. It didn't feel developed. I kind of wish they had brawls in the back and talked to each other or screamed at each other before they even did the match. Because it feels so like just something just to do it. Like they just wanted to tie up some loose ends on what's been going on here. And the problem here is that in NXT, these women need more than just having feuds that are tying up loose ends. And then they just move on from something. And I know people are going to say, dude, this is a developmental. They're not going to do that. Bullshit. OVW used to do that. Reality of Wrestling, Booker T's development promotion, did storylines. Yes, they did, and they made sure those storylines made sense. The only problem they had was camera work was so freaking disgusting. I couldn't stand watching it anymore because they couldn't handle the camera. It wasn't even close what even a good day of TNA when it was old TNA. They didn't even do that. It was so bad. With the lighting and the camera was even worse. Graphics were bad, but the camera back in, 15, 16, when I was reviewing it, was atrocious. I haven't even checked them in years, and I don't even want to know. But there you go. Petrovic won, which, what do we gain here? Nothing. Unless they're going to end it now, which I'm not surprised they would, but this is what you get. Next, we get a mixed tag. We get the Family versus the No Quarter Catch Crew. Now, I'll talk about what happened with the Don in a minute, but was this a good match? It was fine. It was alright. It wasn't a problem when it came to the mixed tag. And seeing that they were focusing on Stax's brace on his left leg, I believe. He has a brace on his left leg. They were focusing on it. Was fine. There's no problem. The only thing that I was thinking about was, are we going to have Charlie Dempsey deal with Jonathan Gresham at Emergence? I'm sorry, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that, which probably will not happen, but never know. They may add it at the last minute, because we're not that far off. We got a couple of more days. They may add a couple more matches. But that's what I was thinking the most. But what was the most interesting was what was going on with Don. A couple of members of his family, extended family mainly, because they're not on TV much. They went to the Don asking for him, but no, we're going to the ring. I'll deal with it later. And they said, ugh. And then they finally went to the ring and said, Don, you got to come with us now. So he left everybody. But they won. The Don's boys and girls won the match. They won. Didn't they win? Didn't they win? Yeah, I think they did win. Didn't they? Yeah, the family won. They won. But what was more interesting was the Don dealing with the king, Obafemi. The king of his kingdom didn't like to be disrespected by the Don. And the Don didn't like being disrespected from the king. Even though he doesn't say he's a king, because only king we got is Lexus King, but you know that he has a kingdom. I am Obafemi, I am the ruler of this kingdom of NXT, but the Don is the Don, and he rules over NXT. Instead of splitting it in half and saying, okay, look, I got this part of NXT, you got this part of NXT. Fine. Do your thing. But they didn't do that. They are now going to the point where one has to be supreme over the other. And once you see Obafemi in Don's restaurant scaring people, sitting there waiting for the Don, drinking some well, I don't drink. I don't even know what the taste of wine is. But taking a little sip of wine, fisting his vest as he's getting up to face the Don, pretty much saying that I am not going to do anything here. I could wipe everybody out, but I'm going to wait until No Mercy. And the Don showing respect. Don respectful. Fine. Now we're having that at No Mercy. I'm glad. Compared to what WWE used to do, where they wouldn't even leave the damn arena and never do anything other than what it could be done inside the arena. Seeing that Shawn Michaels is going to restaurants and doing those types of things, I love personally, because location's important. Even if NXT doesn't move its location often or at all, at least when you do the segments off-site and you're doing it there generally in a different place, I love that. It shows that, look, we are stuck in this place. Even if we're developmental, we're stuck here, but we're not having a problem going to different locations, and we're actually willing to film to put a storyline over to help this talent to become something. And I love it. You may not like it. Fine. I don't care. And you don't care. You're going to have your feelings. I got my feelings. But as someone who's watched wrestling since he was, 8, 7 years old? When I first saw Bob Backlund when I was a little kid. Not Bruno Sammartino. Not Hulk Hogan. Not Ric Flair. It was Bob Backlund. That is the earliest memory I have. Bob. Looking at Bob Backlund. Not the crazed Bob Backlund in the 90s. The Bob Backlund that no one thought was going to make anything, but I loved him. That's me. I don't know why, I just did. And I didn't see Superstar Billy Graham. I didn't see the Iron Sheik. I didn't see any of those people. I saw Bob. That's my earliest memory. That means something to me. Moving on. Now, what did we actually get when it came to Keani Jordan? I thought there was going to be a segment, but there wasn't one. What did we actually get? We get Keani going to the ring, waiting for a Wendy Chu, but she actually gets a challenger. Let me say this. I know I could leave this for the end, but I don't need to. I'm going to stay in order. Was I happy to see Rosemary? Hell yeah, I was. I'm not. Please do not think I didn't feel joy. Please do not think I didn't feel joy seeing Rosemary in WWE, even if it's in the developmental. I was so happy for her. I'm making that clear. For her. This isn't about TNA. This is about Rosemary getting it. I don't remember if she ever got a shot to ever go to WWE at any time to try out. She might have. I don't know. If she did years ago, this is her second chance at it. And she finally got on television. I can't tell you if it's true she ever was there or not. Only thing I can tell you is what I know. I've seen her since 2013 when she first, before that, when she came in, when the Menagerie came in, if you remember that, the Menagerie. But she's been part of TNA and outside it for many years. I don't know if she ever managed to get to WWE. If she didn't, this was the first time she managed to get into a ring. And for me personally, seeing her for over a decade now, seeing Rosemary, I am happy for the actual woman who plays Rosemary. If this is the first time she managed to get into a ring, That made me happy. But here's where it gets bad and where people are not going to agree with me because they're going to say, you shouldn't be watching wrestling. But I'm going to say this. If you don't like it, suck it. Suck it. I don't care if you like what I'm about to say or not. But you see her up against Kiana Jordan. Kiana looked sloppy. She was not familiar with Rosemary. And many of the moves she did on Rosemary, trying to do a heel kick on Rosemary, trying to do several drop kicks on Rosemary, trying to wrestle Rosemary, it looked freaking sloppy as all hell. It looked bad. You think what happened with when it came to Miss Parker? No, not Miss Parker. I will talk about Miss Parker, and you'll know who I'm talking about in a minute. I mean Miss Jackson. Miss Jackson was a bit sloppy. There ain't no lie about that. She didn't look like she had been training enough on television to really get into the groove. Kiana Jordan's been there for a while. Kiana Jordan has been in the ring. And Kiana Jordan, when she went up against Rosemary, was totally unfamiliar with her. She might have been just surprised at the last minute. And she didn't know how to 100% handle Rosemary. And you can see from most of her moves, not because Rosemary's taller than her, many of those moves looked sloppy. And I'm like, what the blue fuck? Many of them did. But what did we get? Rosemary jobbed. And then Wendy came in after the Titantron flashed her face and choked her out. Rosemary pushed over the title after she choked out Kiana Jordan. And Wendy held it up. But here's the thing. As much as anyone's going to say, oh, this was incredible seeing Rosemary, it was exactly what I said what was going to happen. Who's Rosemary? Tell me. Is she one of the newest people on the TNA roster? No. She's not Xia Brookside. Nope. She's not Staff Delander. No. They sent one of the most seasoned women's wrestlers other than Jordan Grace that has been on TNA TV and Impact TV. She's one of the most well-known wrestlers they've ever had in the women's division in recent memory. She's one of the most beloved women. People were chanting her name. They did a little bit of TNA. Yes, of course they would. She's from TNA. But they chanted her damn name. Her. Rosemary. She's the only one that mattered in that, not TNA. And the key of this entire situation is going to lead me back to TNA when I see Impact on this Thursday is what are we getting from NXT? We just sent another well-established wrestler to NXT. We sent another established wrestler, one of the most well-known and loved women of TNA. What are we getting back to TNA? What? That's not publicity for TNA. Whatever anybody says, that's not publicity for TNA. That's publicity for Rosemary. TNA only gets a small portion of that rub that Rosemary just got. Rosemary is more seen than anything. She could leave TNA anytime she wants if a contract's almost up. And she'll get more work because of that, which is great. But what does this give TNA wrestling? Good question, isn't it? And I'm sure many people say, and I know someone's going to leave me some type of comment, leaving some words, and I'm going to tell them, where's the article? I mean it this time, because that didn't happen the last time. You guys know who you are. You leave me comments, but you don't leave me where you, at least tell me where you got the article from. Leave me the information about the article. Because as it stands right now, every time you leave some information saying they're talking about this, guess what? When I check over 20 sites, when it comes to TNA, they never talk about the ratings. Never. They may have updated what happened with Slammiversary. They were wrong about how much pay-per-view sales they got, which was much higher than normal. That was good. But when it comes to the show itself, nothing's changed. None of the bookings changed. None of the people have changed. And we just sent Rosemary over to NXT. That will help Rosemary, not TNA. Moving on. Blade. Monique Blade versus Brooks Jensen. Now, when it came to, how can I say this? Last week when we saw Idris getting his ass beaten up, fine. That was to set up Jensen because of what happened with Shawn Spears. We get this match. And yes, it's meant to really get Brooks Jensen over, which is going to get him over. But then you think about Malik Blade. I've always thought Malik Blade, compared to his partner, had something. And seeing him by himself, actually I'm kind of hoping they'll keep that up for a little while. I don't want to see these two together. I know you're going to say, dude, they've been a tag team for so long. We need tag. We got people in tag. I actually want to see Idris and Malik break up for a little while. Because we need more singles people to do something. Because yes, we got Out the Mud. We got Hank and Tank. We got already 2 other teams that are trying to come in. One that was from the Olympics, and another set, I don't remember what the other set is. There's another one. Not even talking about Gallus. Not even talking about the former tag champs. Chase U, where we just had the segment of Chase U, and the former tag champs of Nathan Frazier and Axiom talking at Chase U, which was not bad. But we have so many teams. I wouldn't mind seeing these two break up. You can always bring them back together, but let them have singles runs and see what they can do separately with their characters, because they're both competent wrestlers. Now you need to make them mean something. Just moving on. Now, final thing we're going to talk about. Oh wait, let's talk about Miss Parker and her interview. Before I don't know who it was that was back there. It could have been Rosemary, it could have been somebody else. But let's give you like this. What did we get from Jada Parker and Roxanne Perez? Not bad. Not great, but not bad. I will tell you that Miss Parker, she has attitude. I liked her attitude. As a wrestler, I think she still needs refinement still. She's not a bad wrestler, but I think she can do better. But that's why she's still in NXT anyway. Then you look at Roxanne Perez, who legitimately at this point, I'm not saying she's the greatest women's wrestler NXT's ever produced. She's not. But I can say she's polished enough at this point that they're going to have to move her up eventually. I truly believe she needs to be moved up by Royal Rumble. I don't think they're going to let her leave near the end of the year. I believe she's going to join the main roster around January. And I think she should join in January. Don't worry about the damn draft. Just let her go through Royal Rumble and then appear on Raw and then stay on Raw. Or appear on SmackDown and stay on SmackDown. They need to let her just leave, because not saying she isn't great or good or bad. She's not. This is about how long this woman has been on the roster. Okay? I remember seeing her in reality wrestling as Roxy. I've seen her. I've seen her for years. She has developed enough that she's ready for the main roster. Can she make it and hack it on the main roster? I don't know. It's time for her to go. And I do believe by the end of the year, going to next year, they will finally bring her up. If they don't bring her up, and next year we're still talking around this time that she's still there, and either she's not champion or she still is champion, they're making a big mistake. I'm telling the truth. That girl's ready to move, and they need to make space for all those other people. I'm just saying. And then we wonder who is the person that was after the smack that was heard around the world. From Miss Parker to Roxanne. I don't know who that was. I thought it could be Jade Cargill, but she would just show herself. I don't think it's Rosemary either. It's probably somebody else. Someone we're not noticing. It could be, what is the girl's name? I forgot her name. Jillian? I can't remember her name. But she's in Japan. And she's about to come here. I can't remember her name right now. I've only seen her a handful of times. Maybe 3 times. Only in passing. Not any matches. Just in generally passing. I know I've seen one match with her. The other 2 were in passing. So I don't remember her name. But you guys know who it probably is. And you'll probably leave me the name because you know who it is. but that might be her. And the two last things we're going to talk about, that will be the face-off and Joe Henry's concert. Let's go to the Joe Henry concert. Was it good? Yeah, pretty good. They had Ethan Page literally and it looked like that was during the time when he had to go through the Thanksgiving special, and they become oh man, I forgot the name of it. It's been so long since they've done it. The Thanksgiving gobbler or something, or the chicken, I can't remember. It's been so many years. You know you're going to tell me. I've had a lot on my mind, so it's hard to remember. I'll probably remember it after I do this video. I'm going to be so mad at myself. But he was exercising with that chicken or turkey hat on his head. But Joe Henry made a whole song out of it, which was good. I didn't have a problem with it. Ethan Page comes out pissed as hell, and everyone's singing the song, which was great. I was fine with it. When it came down to it, you got Ava coming out, clearly making it clear to Ethan Page that because of the way you acted, I had to come up with a solution for No Mercy. You're getting a special guest referee. Seeing it's going to be Trick, it's going to give me kind of a weird feeling. Because I'm not expecting Trick to turn heel. I expect him to stay face. But due to the fact of how things are in NXT, I expect some type of screwiness is going to happen with that match. And Trick and Joe are going to be involved in it with somebody else. I think there might be an extra person that might be interjected into this match. It won't be 3, it could be 4. Now, it could be Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne could be the one that's going to screw up the match because he had his attitude at the end and said, Trick, oh, you're doing this? No problem. But guess what? You won't make it Tuesday. So you don't know. Finally, face to face, Zachary Wentz. And my boy Wesley. Let me give it to you like this. Let's do a little real history. Roughly about two and a quarter years ago, Zachary Wentz's own wife, Kimberly, was causing havoc with him. And due to the fact of what happened with her and allegations from her, he lost his job. He was fired from NXT because of the accusation from his wife. And he was gone for 2 years and had gone through hell with that. But we had heard reports that Desmond Xavier, now Wesley, was in the corner of his boy and said, look, he has been with me for all these years. He did not do anything to this woman. She is a problem. And she is the one that is lying. And guess what? Since then, when it came to Kimberly, she's gotten herself multiple times in trouble with the law and actually has gone to court because of it. So seeing that Zachary Wentz had gone back to TNA, managed to keep his job, and managed to become tag champs with it made me happy to see him with Trey. It made me happy to see that they worked out, they became tag champs, and they were allowed to come to NXT and work with Wes. I'm so happy. And I'm also happy to see that they have a program together. These two are literally family together. Not saying that when it comes to Trey Miguel, he isn't family as well. But these two have been so closely connected to the hip that in real life, I'm fairly certain that what was stated there was actual truth. When he was not working because of back surgery, Zachary was there. When his wife had to go to work, Zach was there. When he needed someone there to help him probably train after he did the surgery, Zach was there whenever he can get the time off from TNA. So what was there was not a lie. I kind of wish they had kind of blurred the lines between truth and fiction and kind of like just to acknowledge the trouble they had with Kimberly, that Wes said, you know what, if your crazy bitch of an ex-wife had not acted the way you are and dug you into that part of that hole, you probably wouldn't be there. But you didn't make that choice, didn't you? I know that might be a bit going overboard. But we all... Damn it, I lost my train of thought. No, the reason why he left, because of Kimberly, and I kind of wish Wes had kind of included that. Saying that you had bad decisions, including that ex-crazy woman you used to be with. He didn't have to say her name, just saying that. Something in those forms. And I think that could have actually helped the story even more. Now, mind you, not everyone will be fond of hearing that they're kind of bad-mouthing an ex-wife who's had major problems. Yes, I understand that. As a divorcee myself, I'm not going to tell you that I wasn't angry at my ex-wife. I'm not going to say that she was wrong on most of the stuff that didn't work with us. I couldn't be the man that she wanted. And I'm sure she bad-mouthed my ass as well. But at least I tried my best never to bad-mouth in front of my son about his mom. I always tried to be very constructive and respectful. I'm not perfect, but at least I did my best. And I do believe that could have helped. But that's just me. But in the end, seeing these two talk about who's on a different level and seeing how this is going to play out, this is the one match I'm very invested because I've known both these guys for years. I watched them in Impact. I watched them in NXT. I watched them separate in NXT and TNA. And now they're finally back together with this. I'm telling you right now, for me personally, this match means more to me than almost any of the other matches. Yes, I care about Joe Henry. I do care about what's going to happen when it comes to Roxanne Perez. I do care. But this would be the most important match for me personally. I know both these boys can go. But I'm hoping that the emotion that goes with the match will make it one of the most memorable matches that NXT is going to have. But this is only me. Peace.